L. Gordon Cooper Jr. and Charles Pete Conrad Jr. were both NASA astronauts who flew together on the Gemini 5 mission in 1965. L. Gordon Cooper Jr. was one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts and flew on the final Mercury mission, Mercury-Atlas 9, in 1963. He later served as backup commander for the Gemini 5 mission. Charles Pete Conrad Jr. was also one of the Mercury 7 astronauts and flew on the Gemini 5 mission as the pilot. He later went on to command the Apollo 12 mission, during which he became the third person to walk on the moon. The Gemini 5 mission was launched on August 21, 1965, and lasted for 8 days, making it the longest manned spaceflight at the time. Cooper and Conrad conducted a number of experiments and tests during the mission, including testing a new fuel cell power system and performing the first manual re-entry of a manned spacecraft. Overall, the Gemini 5 mission was considered a success and helped pave the way for future spaceflights, including the Apollo missions that would eventually land humans on the moon. L. Gordon Cooper Jr. was born on March 6, 1927, in Shawnee, Oklahoma. Before becoming an astronaut, he was a fighter pilot in the United States Air Force and served in the Korean War. After his spaceflight career, he worked as a consultant and advocate for various aerospace and energy companies. He passed away on October 4, was born on June 2, 1930, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He also served in the United States Navy as a fighter pilot and attended Princeton University before joining NASA as an astronaut. After leaving NASA, he worked in the private sector as an executive and consultant for various aerospace companies. He passed away on July 8, 1999, after a motorcycle accident. The Gemini program was a series of manned spaceflights conducted by NASA in the mid-1960s. The program aimed to develop and test new technologies and techniques that would be used in the Apollo program, which was aimed at landing humans on the moon. The Gemini 5 mission was the fourth manned Gemini mission and was the first to demonstrate the ability to stay in space for an extended period of time. During the mission, Cooper and Conrad orbited the Earth 120 times and traveled over 3 million miles. They also conducted experiments related to astronaut health and safety, such as measuring the effects of prolonged weightlessness on the human body. In addition to the accomplishments of the mission itself, the flight of Gemini 5 also demonstrated the importance of teamwork and communication between astronauts and ground controllers. This would prove crucial in later spaceflights, particularly during the Apollo 13 mission, which suffered a critical malfunction but was successfully brought back to Earth through the efforts of the crew. Jr. was the first astronaut to sleep in space during the Mercury-Atlas 9 mission. He was also known for his interest in UFOs and claimed to have seen a UFO during a flight for the Air Force in 1951. Charles Pete Conrad Jr. was the first astronaut to have walked in space twice, during the Gemini 11 and Apollo 12 missions. He was also the first to drive a lunar rover on the moon during the Apollo 12 mission. Cooper and Conrad were good friends and often played practical jokes on each other. During the Gemini 5 mission, they tried to fool Mission Control by telling them that their spacecraft had sprung a leak and was losing air. The prank was quickly discovered, but it demonstrated their lightheartedness and camaraderie. Gemini 5 was the first time that astronauts ate solid food in space. Cooper and Conrad enjoyed a meal of corned beef sandwiches, which they had smuggled on board despite NASA's reservations about the crumbs floating around in the spacecraft. After their successful mission on Gemini 5, Cooper and Conrad were welcomed back to Earth with a ticker tape parade in New York City. They were celebrated as heroes for their pioneering work in space exploration. The legacy of Cooper and Conrad's work on the Gemini program continues to inspire future generations of astronauts and space explorers. Their dedication to science helped to pave the way for humanity's continued exploration of the cosmos. L. Gordon Cooper Jr. was the last American astronaut to fly alone in space during his Mercury-Atlas 9 mission. He orbited the Earth 22 times and spent over 34 hours in space. Charles Pete Conrad Jr. was a skilled pilot and was chosen to fly the first test flight of the X-15 rocket plane, a precursor to the Space Shuttle. He also flew on the Gemini 11 mission, during which he set a new altitude record of 850 miles above Earth. Cooper and Conrad both participated in the Skylab program, which was NASA's first space station. Cooper was the first astronaut to fly to Skylab, and Conrad commanded the second crewed mission to the station. Both Cooper and Conrad were inducted into the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame for their contributions to space exploration. The Hall of Fame, which is located at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, honors the achievements of American astronauts and the impact they have had on society. The Gemini 5 mission was notable for its focus on scientific research and experimentation. Cooper and Conrad conducted over 20 experiments during the mission, including studies on astronaut physiology. Meteorology was also a significant milestone in the history of spaceflight because it demonstrated the feasibility of long-duration spaceflight. This paved the way for later missions, such as the Skylab and International Space Station programs, which have enabled humans to live and work in space for extended periods of time. Both Cooper and Conrad were honored posthumously with the Congressional Space Medal of Honor, which is the highest award bestowed by the United States government for achievements in space exploration. Gordon Cooper Jr. was one of the original 7 astronauts selected for NASA's Mercury program. He was known for his calm demeanor and ability to make split-second decisions during high-stress situations. Charles Pete Conrad Jr. was the 3rd person to walk on the Moon during the Apollo 12 mission. He famously quipped, "Whoopee. Man, that may have been a small one for Neil, but that's a long one for me," when he stepped onto the lunar surface. Cooper and Conrad were both highly skilled pilots and held numerous aviation records before becoming astronauts. Cooper set a transcontinental speed record in 1957 by flying from Los Angeles to New York City in just over 3 hours, while Conrad set a world altitude record of 76,000 feet in a jet-powered aircraft. It was the first time that astronauts used a fuel cell to generate electricity in space. This technology, which was developed by NASA, provided a more efficient and reliable source of power than the batteries used on earlier spacecraft. Cooper and Conrad were both involved in the development of the Apollo program, which was NASA's effort to land humans on the Moon. Cooper worked on the design of the Apollo spacecraft, while Conrad helped to test and refine the lunar module, which was the spacecraft that would land astronauts on the Moon. In addition to their achievements in spaceflight, Cooper and Conrad were also known for their leadership and dedication to public service. Both men served as members of various government committees and advisory boards, and they worked to promote scientific education and outreach to the public. The legacy of Cooper and Conrad's contributions to space exploration continues to inspire new generations of scientists, engineers, and explorers. Their courage, perseverance, and passion for discovery helped to expand our understanding of the universe and opened up new frontiers of human exploration. Gordon Cooper Jr. was the first astronaut to use a personal hygiene kit in space. During the Mercury-Atlas 9 mission, he brushed his teeth and shaved using a special kit that was designed for use in zero gravity. Was known for his sense of humor and playful personality. During the Apollo 12 mission, he famously took a photo of himself standing on the Moon while making a peace sign gesture with his fingers. Cooper and Conrad both served as test pilots for the U.S. Air Force before becoming astronauts. Their experience as test pilots gave them the skills and knowledge needed to fly experimental spacecraft and conduct dangerous missions in space. The Gemini 5 mission was notable for its use of a new radar system, which was used to track the spacecraft's position and velocity. This system proved to be highly accurate and was later used on other NASA missions, including the Apollo program. Cooper and Conrad both received numerous awards and honors for their contributions to space exploration. Cooper was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, the NASA Distinguished Service Medal, and the Harmon International Aviation Trophy, while Conrad was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Navy Distinguished Service Medal, and the Robert J. Collier Trophy. After retiring from NASA, Cooper founded his own aerospace consulting company and worked on various projects related to space technology and exploration. Conrad also continued to work in the aerospace industry and was a vocal advocate for the development of reusable spacecraft, such as both inscribed on the astronauts' memorial at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, which honors the memory of astronauts who have lost their lives in the pursuit of space exploration. Both men died in the early 2000s, but their legacy continues to inspire and motivate those who seek to explore the cosmos. Gordon Cooper Jr. was the first American astronaut to spend more than a day in space, during the Mercury-Atlas 9 mission in 1963. He orbited the Earth 22 times during his 34-hour flight. Charles Pete Conrad Jr. was one of the few people to fly in all 3 of NASA's manned spacecraft, Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. He flew on the Gemini 5, Gemini 11, and Apollo 12 missions. Cooper and Conrad both experienced close calls during their space flights. Cooper's Mercury-Atlas 9 capsule experienced a malfunction in its automatic stabilization and control system, which caused the spacecraft to spin out of control. Cooper was able to regain control manually and complete his mission. Conrad's Gemini 11 spacecraft came within just a few feet of another spacecraft during a docking maneuver, which could have been disastrous if not for the quick actions of Conrad and his crewmate. The Gemini 5 mission set a new record for the longest manned spaceflight at the time, with Cooper and Conrad spending 8 days in orbit. The mission was a crucial step in NASA's efforts to prepare for longer-duration spaceflights, including the eventual journey. Both participated in the Apollo Applications Program, which was a series of missions that were designed to test technologies and techniques for future space exploration. The program included missions to study the Earth's environment, the Moon, and other planets in the solar system. Cooper and Conrad were both passionate advocates for the exploration and colonization of space. They believed that humans should expand their presence beyond Earth and establish permanent settlements on other worlds. Their vision helped to inspire a new generation of space enthusiasts and helped to lay the groundwork for future missions to explore the cosmos. In addition to their contributions to space exploration, Cooper and Conrad were both avid pilots and aviation enthusiasts. They both owned their own planes and continued to fly throughout their lives, even after retiring from NASA.
Let's go.